Get out the insurance cards, get out the co-pays. The office is open, my friends.
Everybody,
Brought to you by drroto.com.
So let's get to it.
Bring the bang!
What's up, everybody? This is Heat Override, and I'm ready to bring the pain for you this week. Ooh, yeah! We got a special guest, a guy that has a fight coming up, Julius Juicebox Walker! Welcome to Bring the Pain. How's your day going?
Dude, it is going good now. How about you, bro?
Oh, dude, I am jacked up, fresh off a whole fight season myself. Nothing like what you do, but I had my championship dinner with my daughter and a whole bunch of people about 2 weeks ago as of today, and we're looking forward to next season, but it's just one of those things. It's what we do. It's why we love combat sports, right?
Let's go. I love it.
This is it. So for a lot of people that don't know, Julius Juicebox Walker has a UFC fight coming up beginning of February. It's Vegas 113, and he's going to be fighting Uran Satybaldiev. I'm trying to get these names. These names sometimes get me, dude. How have you been with that?
Dude, I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce it. I think I'm just going to go with Uran or Uran or whatever it is. Or we could just call him the Gorilla. We can go by nicknames. He'll be the Gorilla and I'll be Juicebox.
Yeah. That's the thing. So when I first started this UFC journey, so I've always watched UFC, started back with an illegal cable box with UFC 1, 2, and 3, Ken Shamrock days, Dan Severn days, so a bunch of Don Fry. So, just like most things, I got out of it. Of course, that worked out for a lot of the WWF/WWE pay-per-views for my family and stuff. So we were just in this all our lives, kind of like what I said to you about my father and just kind of raising me under wrestling and football. And then this kind of came back into my life when I started point fighting with my daughter for our team TKO-ERIE, and I started seeing things slow down. I watched a few fights, and I'm like, you know what? I think I can use this as part of our product at Dr. Roto and turn it into something. And the first event I did, your name stuck out, Juicebox. Man, that's
UFC Seattle, baby, dude. That was so much fun, man. That was so much fun.
It was.
Here's the thing. I wish they had my walkout was not on the broadcast, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
I always walk out to Dancing Queen, and I'm telling you, it was a good walkout, man. The people liked that song.
I think everybody kind of gets up for that song. That's just one of those songs, like, of course, like Grease Lightning. Next thing you know, everybody's like up and they all think they're Travolta. I mean, they're all sitting there, or it's like, Staying Alive, the same thing too. That comes on. There's always at least one guy, and if he ain't out there yet, scan the room. You can see him, and you're like, oh, that guy's gonna get out there. He's about to do the Travolta. Entertainment and things, man. I think that's what growing up on wrestling. So when you started watching WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, who were the wrestlers that were popular at that time?
So when I first started watching, I was intently watching more so. I was like 9 or 10. So it was WWE. I watched a little bit of TNA at that time as well. It was still TNA. And obviously, John Cena was the guy, but I wasn't a huge John Cena fan until I got older, you know what I mean? But I would say my original first favorite wrestler was Kofi Kingston. And I loved Kofi. And I remember whenever he was feuding with Randy Orton, and Randy Orton kind of, I like Randy Orton now, but the whole stupid thing, I hated Randy Orton for even when everybody else liked him in 2011, until I was 15, until I was probably dang near a grown man, I had a grudge against Randy Orton. So Kofi was always my favorite wrestler. Kofi Mania was the most awesome thing ever, but heck yeah, dude.
Dude, that pop was so massive for him. If he didn't win that match, I think that would have been one of those RVD moments we riot, because there was no way he shouldn't have won that match, and he did. and it was an exciting movie. Yeah, I loved Kofi. I loved his intro videos, promo videos before he even started wrestling. He was like up on the streets, and he's just like, yeah, man, he's just looking suave. It reminded me of like the Razor Ramon videos when they come. Man, they need to get back to that sometimes, man. I need that build up for wrestlers, but man, that's this kind of thing. Like I actually saw another one of your promo videos as well, and it's just great to sometimes feel that, get that build to a fight, like what you've experienced multiple times this year and going into next year, starting it off early in February. So outside of, being a basketball player at Drury University, being the all-time scoring record holder at 22-35 total points, that's an amazing feat. You must have been a phenom. And of course, Springfield, Missouri. What was it like during those years with the basketball and growing in before you decided to take that, like you said, year off and get into MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Man, so it's interesting. I, growing up, I always played basketball. It was always, but I was always usually pretty good. I went to a small school, and I always felt like, I was one of the better players, but I never felt like I was like necessarily on top whenever I was playing with kids from other schools and like the whole area in general. And I had a lot of motivation going into my senior year. Nobody was really recruiting me at all. Even though I'd scored a lot of points, just because like, I'm 6'4", I'm kind of in between a guard and a big, I'm not like super duper crazy, jump out of the gym athletic. Not super duper quick compared to like elite basketball guards. Yeah. So I had a lot of motivation to prove everybody wrong going into my senior year, because I had 0 offers. So I was able to get on Drury, play a little bit of Drury, do my thing for a little bit, but I was acting the fool, man. I was 19 and I thought I knew everything. So it all worked out though, led me into this fight and stuff. So I'm happy about that.
That's the key there. So of course you're with Team Fusion right now. You have your BJJ and your purple belt. And I actually just moved on from purple belt this year. It was kind of a surprise. I didn't really know, because being 47, my approach and my sensei's approach towards making a black belt at that age, starting so late, 41 years old, he had to do it. So I didn't really know I was going to get it. So now it's kind of like that end game for me. But you brought up, a few interviews and things that I've seen you say over the years, using basketball and then using the BJJ together, I think is a great combination because of your reflexes, your hand-eye coordination, of course. That's going to help you with your defense. And then, the motions, your feet, you keep them moving along with the stamina. People forget about, they sleep on stamina. Why is this, and why do you think this is a huge advantage for you as a fighter going in?
I think one advantage I had was the fact that I came in with, when I started training, I had 0 combat sports background. And I actually do think that in some ways that can be an advantage, in that you have no bad habits. There are some things, like, for example, if you come in as a wrestler, everybody that does jiu-jitsu, you're always like, well, the wrestlers get guillotined and triangled all the time just because of, how you wrestle. Wrestling's a different sport than like full-on grappling and jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. And then boxers are going to have certain habits that are going to be hard for them to shake if they've done it for their entire life. So I think that's one thing that helped me. And then another thing, like, basketball is a sport that I think naturally people that are good at it are very adaptable to almost any sport if it fits their body type. And honestly, I think my body type fits MMA a lot better than it does basketball. I've always enjoyed like roughhousing and wrestling. Like, I wrestled with I've never played on a basketball team where I wasn't wrestling with my teammates. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I remember, like, I used to joke about when I was playing ball in college that I was going to start fighting when I was done playing basketball. And everybody was always like, man, you should totally do that, And like, I would slap box my teammates and stuff like that. And it's funny, a lot of those dudes used to beat me up, which actually cracks me up in hindsight. if they're watching this, they need to, like, Cam, you wouldn't beat me up anymore, bro.
No,
But,
not in an octagon. He'd get cage pushed in a minute.
yeah, dude, I'm telling you, basketball, like, it's easier to learn how to move your feet. It's easier to learn how to go from down to up. It's easier to learn how to transfer your weight. Like, these are all things that apply to the sport of basketball pretty heavily, and they're important in learning how to do MMA. And as I've gotten farther into my career and I've really started to, like, actually learn the concepts and stuff, I'm still relatively inexperienced. You know, I've only been training for about a little over 6 years. So
yeah,
it's just helped me a lot. I really do believe that.
I agree with that. One thing that my sensei / coach says all the time. So my sensei actually was a student to Billy Blanks, and Billy Blanks, of course, being from Erie, Pennsylvania. So that's kind of the lineage and style that my coach now has changed and moved into. So we have MMA fighters as well. We have also boxers, kickboxers. So it's kind of like we have multiple guys in this area that have done a lot. So, you know, even though I'm a point fighter, I do mix it up with the boxers. Of course, I get tagged because I'm not used to boxing. I'm used to keeping my opponent at bay, keeping me in a side view. So I'm like this, you know, kind of like Wonder Boy. And so a lot of my side kicks, a lot of roundhouse, hooks, fronts, and then, of course, the blitz. The blitz is I would say, my bread and butter, you know, coming back in, maybe feinting with a kick, making a move up, and then I come in with the hits. So when you say fundamentals, I agree with that. I feel that my katas also strengthen that. It's always about your basics, and basketball does build a great basics, because even though it's formed, like you said, the hip shifting, you can use that in wrestling. We all know that. As a matter of fact, Makachev, one of his greatest takes, his most solid takedown is when he dips in, turns, he flips the hips and rips you over. So that right there alone is an advantage that you have. And then, of course, I got to keep saying it, the stamina too. People don't understand running up and down a court for a whole game takes a lot of will, and you have that.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I get a ton of comments because both of my UFC fights, I got quite exhausted in them, if you watch them. But here's the thing. In both of my UFC fights, I fight at an extremely high pace.
Yes.
When I fought Menefield, I believe I threw over 200 strikes and I shot 11 takedowns, and I held them on the cage for 6 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, that's a high pace. When I fought Cerquera, I shot, once again, I believe I shot 10 takedowns. I didn't throw quite as many strikes because I controlled him for 12 minutes out of the fight. Yeah. But, like, dude, like, it's a high pace. Like, when I'm fighting, there's not a lot of downtime. We don't stare at each other a lot. Like, you see some of these fights that, you know, the fans hate, where guys are just bouncing on the outside and staring at each other. I don't think that's ever happened in one of my fights. You could go through and watch all 18 of them, and there is almost no time of me bouncing around on the outside. Like, I just go at the dude. And I think part of that is because I don't really know what else to do.
I agree with that, dude. You got to go forward, and that's me. And I think that's the difference I provide to my age bracket at what I do now. Because these guys, I mean, you know, most of them can't kick, but I can kick. But they're not fast either. Whereas I trained, because at one point I started trying to build mass, and I was like, you know what? I'm never going to be as big as a 6'4", 6'5". And I fought a few of those guys that are that huge. But what I beat them with is speed. So I immediately changed regiment, went full speed, and I've been able to, you know, just change. I'm at 155. The first time I've probably been at 155 since I was in high school. So for me, that's what evolves us as a sport. That's the difference that you can play. You figure it out. You apply what you can. And you said gassing. Look, when the wrestlers come in, or when they go, okay, we're going to train, like on a Friday, we're going to train cage pushing. Bro, once those boxers or wrestlers get me up on that wall, it exhausts everything. I'm not trained for that. I'm trained to strike, attack, and go forward.
Exactly, dude. Once being tied up is it's very anaerobic. Like, there's a lot of squeezing involved, and it can sap your muscles very quickly. The biggest thing for me is learning how to. For one, it's really important. You got to breathe through everything. I watch fights all the time, and you can visibly see the fighters holding their breath, and I've watched my own fights, and I've visibly watched myself holding my breath, and I'm like, dude, what am I doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What? Of course you're gonna get tired. You're literally squeezing the crap out of the dude and holding your breath, you idiot.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting thing, man. It's one of those things where it's like now, you know, and the other thing I think that's important with MMA is it's multiple different energy systems. So you've got like your striking where you're bouncing around, you're trying to be light on your feet, moving in and out, and then you've got your grappling where you're more so it's more power. It's more a power thing. For me, I've always said that striking is what it feels like to me is striking is more like jumping rope or going for a run. And grappling is like lifting weights. And it's interesting because I remember at the beginning of my career when I came over directly from basketball, I felt like I had way more cardio as far as striking goes. And when I would grapple, I would get exhausted quick. Now it feels like I can just continue to grapple even when I do get pretty tired, I can still grapple pretty solid. But sometimes once I get exhausted and it's time to bounce around, I'm like, man, let me just grab this dude.
Yeah. It is. It's different, and that goes for each different opponent. As you said, you went from 6 minutes with Menafield to up to 12 minutes with Segura. I watched a lot. Of course, I've watched a lot of your fights going up because when I do a product like that, I believe a lot of people try to use numbers in other sports, but I solely believe that the UFC is one sport that you literally have to watch the sport. And being a fighter or being an ex-fighter, it helps you understand that. And when you see that go down and you look at that, so of course, I watched a lot of your fights. I mean, just to say a few, Porter, the Porter fight was crazy. That dude was huge. And a lot of the guys that you fought, like, I'll even say Porter, Bartling, Dennis, these guys are massive dudes you're wrestling on the ground with for a long time.
Dude, that Hector Porter fight, that was one of my last amateur fights too. And I remember, it's so funny in hindsight. I fight this guy that, I'm 6'4". That Hector is probably, and I actually know, I've trained with him now since that fight. He's probably like 5'10", and in that fight he was 250 pounds. And rather than staying long and jabbing him, I literally just say, I'm going to just grab a hold of you and try to manhandle you. He outweighed me by like 20 pounds, but
he did.
I don't know why that was my thought process. I think I was just convinced I could easily just grab him and end the fight, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is. And then the Nile fight was another one. Nile I think is the strongest person I've ever fought.
Dude, go on with that. His back was huge.
But man, people don't understand. That dude is he's really good. Like he is a UFC level guy as far as his grappling and his wrestling goes. And I think there's a lot of guys in the division that he can beat. Especially because like he's made some strides. He's actually on a 3-fight win streak since we fought. So I would not be incredibly surprised if he's a guy that people see on like maybe The Contender, maybe he gets in on a short notice call. I know he was on The Ultimate Fighter, but
yeah,
I feel like Niall's got a real solid chance. He's one of the toughest guys I've ever gone with, and still he's another guy that I actually train with occasionally now. And man, wrestling with him is not easy. Like, dude, having that dude take you down is tough.
Dude, he was all over you, and you were able to get up a lot on him, piece him up, but he was just all over you. Like he was just
back in there.
Yeah. He didn't care. It was like that. So you knew that, and you were able to pull that one off. So it was like, that is actually a big stepping stone for your skills going into the UFC, because people can't go back and say, well, he's just a striker. He's just going to outgun the guy. He's just going to do this. All of his matches end in the first round, blah, blah, blah. They can't say that about you because you can go the distance. You do get in there. You're gritty. Menafield isn't, even though after his last fight, we won't talk about that, but Menafield against you, that's a hard opponent to draw in short notice coming up to that. What made you take that match? I mean, of course, other than being a debut and getting that call, but against a guy like that.
Honestly, dude, they could have offered me to fight King Kong. Islam Makhachev said this once. He said if King Kong can, or maybe it was Khabib, if King Kong can make 155, bring this guy. If the UFC called me and they offered me King Kong at 205, as long as King Kong's making weight, I was going to get in there. So,
Yeah.
you know, whenever I get that call to fight Menifield, it's funny. They called me, and my manager, Jason House, was like, "Hey, can you make weight next weekend?" And I look at the Seattle card to look at the 205 fights on there to try to gauge like which one it might be. You know what I mean? Which,
Yeah.
You know, like who am I going to be fighting? You know, let's see here. And it turns out it's Alonzo Menifield, who wasn't even on the card. And I was like, oh, man, a ranked opponent? Yeah, let's run it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. It was a huge opportunity, you know. It's one of those things where, you know, that's a fight. You can win the fight. And, you know, you're now everyone's like, holy crap, this kid off the regional scene came in at short notice and beat a ranked opponent. And it's all crazy to me that was even happening when it was happening. Like when I fought Menifield, I wasn't even 2 years into my pro career. You know what I mean? So it's like if I could have told myself when I turned pro, like, hey man, you're gonna fight Alonzo Menifield here in about 22 months.
Yeah.
I would have been like, oh, okay, let's get to the gym.
Yeah, because you're like, oh well, I might need those 22 months, and it's crazy because, you know, similar stories go in. Of course, mine being more point fighting when. I went to a tournament and all the people stayed out of my division because I guess it's sometimes you get a headhunter kind of tag, and in my division, depending on the tournament, I'm allowed to either strike in the face or not. Now, when I get black belt, it's game on. Kicks, strikes, kicks always to the face is always, you know, but they try to keep it to the body. Well, so nobody was in that division, and the whole undercard was division. None of those guys would fight me. So I was like, all right, whatever. That's just, sometimes that happens in the 35 plus. So then this dude, this 19-year-old teenager comes out.
Oh, man.
He is literally the shortest dude I've ever fought. He's like 4'8", and he's a Mandarin descent. And I'm like, all right. I mean, I just watched him walk a dude, and I'm like, okay. And that was like, you know, one of his things. So he didn't really tell me his story. I see his belt. He's a brown belt. I'm like, purple. We're good. I should be able to do this. I start out the fight just straight blazing, but he was learning me. After the fight, we talked. We came to a tie. There was a few points they didn't catch, but he beat me with a sidekick, which was his bread and butter. Figured out he's a double world champ, black belt in another form, but he transitioned to the school that he's a brown belt at and doing it. But I will tell you this. For the first time in my life, my 5'9" self looked like a giant, and I've never had to fight down. So when you get that, this was like your Menifield. That was my Menifield. It was an unknown opponent, and he was a true black belt that had been around the world and won. And I didn't know that, but I got in there and I went at it, and now it's more fun. And that's what you got from Menifield. But even going to the second Ada fight, you literally, and we won't talk about his last fight either, but you literally stepped into that fight and you dominated. And a lot of people know both of these guys, but the fact that you were able to dominate and have moments of domination in both of those fights shows what your skill and that your ideals bring to the table for the UFC. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, man. I both of those fights, the whole going into the Menifield fight, you know, I knew that I really had nothing to lose fighting a ranked guy on short notice.
Yeah,
and I was just going to go in there and go for it. And then, you know, taking the L in that fight, it was really important for me in the Shakira fight to prove I belonged in the UFC. And you know, going in there and getting that victory the way that I did, I was happy with it. But in you know. Now it's like he's everyone else has finished him fairly quickly, and I was the guy that didn't finish him. So now it's like I'm carrying that chip on my shoulder into this next fight and continuing on this mission to prove that, like, you know what I mean, I am one of these guys that is going to stick around. You know what I mean? If any UFC fans don't like me, I'm sorry, because you're going to end up getting sick of me because I'm going to be around, man. I'm not going anywhere. And I'm really confident. I know once I get in there with the gorilla, Mr.
Satybaldiev.
Satybaldiev. Once I get in there with the gorilla, man, we're gonna go at it, and you know, I think I can outlast him.
This is actually a unique fight. I had this written down. I'm gonna get right into this right now. really, because, from my point of view, what I look at watching a lot of his fights, you guys almost are similar. They kind of brought him in last year, and he took some bumps, and then he got, his win. And then you got in there, but you didn't take like the bump he took in his first fight. Now they're putting you two together to see what's going on. I feel that both of your styles are similar, but what I feel are the keys to victory for you in this match, and I could be wrong, is his weakness. As you know, you've already did the tape on Uran. He swings wild, large, and heavy. You beat that straight down the middle. Your hands are way faster than his. So fast hands is the first thing that I feel is the thing. I don't even have to talk about the cage push. He's a cage pusher, but what separates you from him in his cage push, he's a push down cage pusher where you like to scoop your dudes up and slam the shit out of them. So that's another key to that fight too. He has crafty subs and you have subs as well too. So if you avoid the crafty subs, win the cage push, and beat him down the middle, no matter if this goes distance or more likely under, because I like to find unders, that I feel are the three keys to your success in this fight.
Yeah, man, I think that I'm physically a much better athlete than he is.
Yes.
I think once we get in there, I think that's going to show. And I'm pretty confident that I'm also the better grappler, to be honest. I think he, of course, I'm not taking away from his grappling abilities. I think he's really solid as well there. But I think that I'm really strong and I've got really good hips. I'm very difficult to take down and hold down. And I don't see him being able to do that. I don't think he is the type of athlete that can just physically dominate me. I just really don't see it. Now we're going to see what happens, right? But I'm really confident in kind of all of those things that you said. But the biggest thing for me is it's like, I think that I'm going to be more physically imposing than he is whenever we get in there. And that's kind of what I'm going to do. Like, I'm gonna go at him, and I think he's gonna come at me, and it's gonna be two bulls that are gonna collide in the middle, and we'll see who starts backing up. We'll see who puts the other on the other's back.
Yeah, and that's like you said, it's because he comes at you like his nickname's Gorilla. Should be the Gorilla Zombie, because that's what he's gonna do. But easily, just like you said, who's gonna go back first? When he comes forward, you have the power, as you had brought up, and that have we all seen. If anybody has done any of the fight research, you are correct. You are a more active striker. You take less strikes than you give, so that therefore you're right there. And because he's a slower striker, that's going to not work out well. He moves forward into your jabs and hooks in combination. He's going to go back. When he goes back, we all know how that's going to end.
I think if he lets me get my hands together on the cage, he's getting taken down.
Yeah.
And if you watch his regional fights, I don't think he's got a lot off his back. So, I mean, we'll see what he pulls out.
He lets a lot of people up too.
For it, man. I think it's going to be a really good fight. I think it's going to be a firefight. He's a really tough guy. I've seen him take some tough punishment in some of his fights and keep pushing through it. So I think, like I said yesterday on a podcast, and I'll say it again, I don't think that there's any amount of pain that I can, like physical pain, I can put him in to make him stop. So all I've got to do is make his body shut down on its own. So that's what we're looking to do in there, man. And at the end of the day, here's the thing: a lot of guys are really tough to the head, but it's hard to be tough to the body. So we'll see.
That's a big key. One of my learning moments when I started my point fighting career is I was fighting one of the world champion black belts, and this is a girl, and she's like super strong, super gifted, and I never had this actually happen to me. She did a side kick right to my chest, and my legs kicked out from underneath me, and it was like I ended up in push-up stance, and I was like, oh. And then I'm like, a body attack. And then one of my senseis, me and him were fighting, and I was getting a little up. I hit him a couple times hard, so he goes into this mode where he goes, zit, right? So I saw his head open, and like you said, things slow down, and this is why I feel that hand-eye coordination is so big with MMA and where you get that from basketball. Things slow down. I was like, oh, look, he got an open face, right? And I popped him in the face at the same time. He threw a hook to my body, and my ribs said, ouch. And I had to wear a rib protector for about a month and a half.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, man, like I said, there's a lot of guys that are real tough to the head, but you start working the body over a little bit, and you can really start getting some results and slowing them down a bit. So, like I said, Davey, we're going to see what happens.
So, outside of all the fighting and training going on, what's some of your favorite things you like to do? I know you have family, and so that's probably a big part of it, but what out of all that do you like to do?
Obviously, man, I love spending time with my family. I've got 2 little girls, and they're more and more entertaining every day. You know what I mean? My oldest, Rainy B, is she's almost 6 now, and then my tiny baby is 15 months, and so she's at that entertaining stage where she's really starting to toddle around and babble and stuff. So that's obviously a lot of my time. Obviously, I love spending time with my wife. That's why she's my wife, because she's the best.
I agree.
But man, I love to play basketball. I still love to play. I still love to hoop. I still love to try to get in a men's league if I can here and there. Probably gonna have to stop doing that, but it is what it is. And then another thing, dude, I love playing soccer too. I played soccer in high school. My senior year, I was first team All State in my little region, the Southwest Missouri Class 1 Player of the Year. So. I was a solid soccer player too, and I love playing soccer too. So those are 2 of my main things, and then just kicking it with the boys and training.
Yeah, that just seems like in the one promo video that I was talking about earlier. You brought that up. You brought up like just train. You kind of just have this fun. You kind of just work, and then you go train, and then you have your time for your family and everything like that. And that's what I think it's almost like the perfect balance to life, that you can have this UFC career. You get to train in the gym with people that are just great to be around with. These people become like your second family. People say this all the time, but until you're really in it, you don't truly understand it. And being in BJJ, combat sports and things like that, sometimes I've seen people get knocked out on our sparring sessions at nighttime, but never get knocked out in a point fight. So, or even when they've stepped in for a kickboxing match, for an amateur, that is, of course, they didn't get knocked out then. So, it just kind of shows you that we are in there, but we're still doing that work because that translates to the ring. And that's the company you keep with Team Fusion and everybody else that is involved with your career right now.
Dude, 1,000%, man. I've been blessed. I've been blessed with having good people around me that, have my best interests at heart throughout my career. And that's one of the most important things with fighting. You've always got to monitor that. You've always got to make sure that you're somewhere where you're moving forward and you're growing. And I think that's the most important thing in this sport.
Yes.
And continuing to grow day by day, get 1% better each day. This sport's it's not always about who's the best at the beginning of the race. It's about who's the best at the end. My favorite ones to bring up are you got guys like Charles Oliveira that. Maybe didn't have the most highlight reel start to his UFC career. Merab lost his first 2 fights in the UFC. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And now he's a world champion. And if he wins tonight, he's gonna do something nobody's ever done before.
That's wild.
You could very well make an argument for Merab being the top pound for pound guy right now. So it's about sticking with it, continuing to grow over time, and that's my plan. That's what I'm going to continue to do. I'm young. I think I don't know, with the new guys from Contender Series, this might not be the case anymore. But before the Contender Series, I was the youngest 205er in the division. So it's like at 205, 26 years old is like being 12 at 135. So you know what I mean? I'm a young gun. I got a lot of time, a lot of time.
That's exactly what I said. Like, and even like going into next year, or even the year after that, I'm in no race to get that black belt at all. Like, this for me is going to be something that I know eventually will happen. I hope that can happen. I hope that I can work hard for that. But that's what people don't understand, is they see the work that we put into the rings or stuff like that, but they don't see the stuff we go on through behind the scenes. They don't see the injury or the bruised quad for 2 weeks or something like that. They don't see a lot of that work. And that's what we do. And that's what we bring in. That's how we learn. It starts out with a roundhouse, because the roundhouse isn't is one of the easier kicks to do. Then moving to a side kick, then moving on to a hook kick, then moving on to a hook side kick, or a hook roundhouse. So there's so much that we can learn. And you bring up one of the biggest things. What I like about I love about your skill set is you aren't a one-dimensional fighter. You're an all-dimensional fighter. You're active. You're going to be active in your fights. And that's what usually separates the normal guys from better guys. Because even me, I'm not a big guy, but I was able to go out and defeat a couple 6'5" guys based on speed and technique over and being smart. Because the fight IQ stuff you brought up made me laugh that sometimes we do dumb stuff during matches. Dude, this one match, I've almost been disqualified multiple times. This judge got so mad at me. He took away the blitz. He said I will not grade his blitz. It was supposed to be 2-5 and only a 3-minute match. And they stopped the match multiple times. I got yelled at. My sensei yelled at me while talking out loud towards the judges. Then they got all in an argument match. I'm just sitting there. They just said, stop blitzing him. And what's the first thing I do? Go blitz him. Next match, hit this dude blitzing me. I just cut to his right. Boom. I practically knocked him out, caught him on his way down. And I'm like, I'm done. But they let me finish that thing. Sometimes we just do some wild shit. And it's what we do. But hey, in the end of the day, we got a smile on our face no matter what happens because we love it.
Dude, if that ain't the truth, man. And, one thing that you pointed out earlier is, like, as far as, like, on the journey to the black belt and stuff like that, man, that's one of those things where it's such a big goal. It's that goal that you've had from when you started. And, for me as a purple belt in jiu-jitsu on that same journey to trying to become a black belt one day, it's one of those things you want it to be as meaningful as possible. So we're in no rush to get there. And I think that's something that sometimes for people that's hard for them to understand. They're like, well, why wouldn't you want to accomplish it as fast as possible? And you're like, well, I want it to be special. I want it to mean something. I want it to feel like I earned it and that I worked for it.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. And, it's also one of those things too, like you said, whenever we're in there and whenever we're in competition, your adrenaline is so high. And I know like a lot of people would try to say like, because I've even met guys that do MMA that try to like talk about guys that do jiu-jitsu, like, oh, it's not a fight, blah, blah, blah. Well, here's the thing. Like, it doesn't matter what you're competing in. Your adrenaline is heightened. Your emotions are heightened. Everything is you're in a different state than just like we are right now sitting here and talking. So sometimes you do things that don't make sense, Sometimes you do things that are a little weird. And then at the end of the day, you're always going to go back to where you're comfortable. So if you're comfortable with that blitz, man, every time, whenever things start getting a little crazy, you're gonna whip out that little blitz, man, and people are gonna just have to deal with it.
You're right. There's a picture of me, one of the 6'5" guys. He did 2 spinning back fists, which aren't legal, but they're frowned upon in the karate, like tournaments. Most tournaments go, don't do this or don't do that. Like groin kicks. Groin kicks anywhere, but groin kicks, there's literally, like, you go to Ohio, groin kicks are legal. And I'm like, bro, I already fight at a wild-ass pace. If you kick me in my junk, I'm literally probably going to fly across that ring. So this dude backhanded me. The first fight was a 6'3" dude. He bloodied my nose. I didn't stop. I didn't let nobody know. Popped him, got the win. Get to this next guy. He spun on me, hits me, but I was out of bounds. He got the point because I stepped out. So then I come back and he hits me again, and it was like he cut my eye. And I was so pissed. I jumped off the line and I looked like a small ass child jumping at this dude's face like a little kid, and I just go like this right at him. But I got that point and then I took him out from there. It's just like one of those things like, dude, you gonna pop, we're just gonna pop, man. We're just gonna get what we get. And now I look back at it and I'm like, man, I'd have just sidekicked the shit out of him.
I love it. It's so funny. Whenever I first started, that was one of the number one things. I was like, man, am I going to be comfortable getting hit in the face? And then, we got into it. I got going, and I learned that, what, I got hit in the face for the first time, and I didn't think, ow, that hurts. I thought, oh, I need to hit this guy back. You know what I mean? And I think it's one of the biggest things that sets guys apart is whenever you get hit and whenever you start becoming the nail, you know, are you going to decide, all right, let's turn it around and make me the hammer, or you know, even as the nail, you know what I mean? You can turn around and stab someone. So, you know,
that's right.
Like you just got to find a way. Sometimes you got to be scrappy, and at the end of the day, sometimes it's a mindset. Like whenever we're teaching guys how to get up from under the bottom, we tell them like, dude, sometimes, man, getting up is just a mindset. Like you just say, you know what? I am not going to let you control me, because as Justin Gaethje said, if one man can hold you down, two can, you know. Yeah.
Pretty much take you out. And you bring that up. Like sometimes the nail thing. So like, of course, the underbelts, I allow them, we train them. So they do hit us. Sometimes they hit us pretty hard. But like somebody like my daughter, who is a black belt, dude, she's kicked me in my throat, and she's kicked me upside my head. And now she's, and because of all the boxing and training that we've been doing, she's been throwing her hands a lot more. And every once in a while, so we get the, you know, the daughter the black belt, brown belt, daughter dad fight. We get this every Wednesdays, Fridays. And so she knows that my backhand right off the go is going to slam you in the face. So if she does something to get me, I go, okay, then I'll go boom. Then she gets so freaking mad. She literally, so on Wednesday, she did a move. I popped off to the side and I backhanded her. And then we have this thing where we jimmy at each other. We shimmer. Yeah. And I walked away and I went to do a move and she sidekicked me so good. We exchanged another point and I was coming back and I was like, by the way, that was still a good kick. She just nailed the shit out of my rib. And I was like, dude, but I love it. That's another aspect that that's been a part of my karate journey, has been being able to walk that with my daughter and be a blunt of a lot of those beatings, because I know that she takes that into the ring, and I know I take that body of strength into the ring because,
Dude, I gotta say, man, I think that is so freaking cool. You know what I mean? As another dad, man, the fact that you're able to get out there and train with her, you know what I mean, and enjoy that together, that's so special, man. That's so freaking cool. You know, mine are a little too small. I don't think they could get their feet quite up to my face yet, you know what I mean? But once they get a little older, maybe we're gonna have to see. And I know that my oldest, you know what I mean, if she ever gets the opportunity to sock dad, she's gonna throw it full force.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, here's the thing too, man, real quick, both of mine are
good.
Like they're probably going to be over 6 feet tall, so they're gonna be little animals. I to be honest, them fighting in MMA would stress me out so bad, but I don't even know. They're gonna be so tall that I don't know if they're gonna be making 35. So we're just gonna have to get them on the basketball court. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's crazy you bring that up about the size too. So you know when you look at the size. So my sensei's daughter is literally taller than him. She's like 6'2", and she's a dancer. She's did the Broadway thing and everything like that. Mm-hmm. So like she does that, but like she came in there and he goes, look, she trained. She knows how to throw a roundhouse. And I'm like, man, if she ever stuck to that though, like she would just been able to stay away, because in a lot of the women's divisions, there's nobody that tall. And like you said, of course, having to come down to that weight to even be that. But in martial arts and point fighting, a lot of the tournaments don't have weight classes. So that's why I end up fighting, a 6'5", 300 pound, or I'd say that the 6'5" guy I fought last time, who was really good, was probably around 215, 216. He was really slender. And he was 35. So I was 12 years, or at the time, 11 years older than him. So you get those mixes, but you never know. They will get a chance to get that chance to kick, and they will kick you. Because dude, and you're gonna be so happy. Like when she kicked me in the throat, I was like, hey, good job.
Right? See that, dude, I can totally see that. It just, man, that sounds so cool, man. And I'm happy for the fact that you guys have that going on.
It's really fun. So, vacation spot. You've had to have taken vacations in your life. Where has been one of your favorite places you have ever went?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. So for one, I loved Seattle. That was where my UFC debut was. Absolutely loved Seattle. Obviously, it wasn't a vacation, but that place is awesome, and I'm going to go back at some point. My wife was not able to come with me to Seattle because it was on short notice, so I'm going to take her to Seattle at some point this year. I think I saw something that the UFC is going to Seattle this year in March, so I'm not sure if what I saw was 100% correct, but I would really like to, if I'm not on that card, I'm going to take the wife, and hopefully we'll go watch it and have that little vacation. And another thing, Erie, you're a Michigan guy, yeah?
Well, no, I mean Erie, PA is Pennsylvania.
No, Pennsylvania. I'm stupid.
So, but no, it's only 6 hours away, really.
Dude, so what I was gonna say was one place that we used to go when I was a kid was Mackinac Island up there, and that's a fun little vacation spot. It's an interesting place, you know, if anyone's ever been out there. Obviously, Florida's a good time, you know what I mean. But it's interesting, man. Growing up, I started getting really serious into basketball like in middle school. Around there, like when I was in like 6th grade was when I started really getting more serious and deep into hooping. And from there on, man, there wasn't a lot of I didn't really vacation much anymore, just because every summer, every school break, I was playing AAU basketball. I was at some basketball tournament. Yeah, like that was my traveling as a kid, was going to play basketball. And then I moved into college sports, you know what I mean? And that's where that's once again you're traveling. And then luckily for fighting, I've got to go a few places. Now with the fact that I'm in the UFC, I think I'll get to go to some real cool places. But you know, that's something that we've got on the list, man. One of these days I got to go to Europe.
Yeah, and you will probably get there. Like I said, with that skill set and everything, you get to Toronto, you got to go to Niagara Falls, man. I don't know if you've ever heard about Niagara Falls. But
I've heard of it. I haven't been there, dude. That would be that would 100% be sick. I didn't even know that was near Toronto. That shows how much
it's. Well, so being from Erie, Niagara Falls is an hour and 45 minutes away, and Toronto's about 3 hours. So if I hit the QEW, Toronto's right there. You know, you can see, if you go up to Niagara on the lake, you can see Toronto from across the Lake Ontario. So it's really cool. It's a really close area. There's a lot of hockey teams. The Erie Otters, where Connor McDavid came from, he was an Erie Otter here. So, you know, that's kind of, that's our last big superhero, you could say, that came from. Everybody either loves or hate Connor McDavid. So, you know, we love him here in Erie. But we've had a lot of other players too. So, yeah, it's just a great time. But I'll tell you, you get on that. If you've ever heard about Clifton Hill, and you can get your family and you go to a card and you can come back through and hit up Clifton Hill and Niagara Falls, I swear you and your family are going to have an amazing time. It is truly awesome.
List. That's on the list now.
Yeah, and I will come meet you up there. That's what we do. So you said tonight you're going to a local wrestling organization, your buddy. Would you like to talk about that for a moment?
Oh, yeah, for sure, dude. I'm going to Mid-States Wrestling. It's here in Springfield, Missouri. I know they do shows here at Springfield. I believe they do shows in Arkansas a little bit, too. They move around a bit. My good friend, Colton Theron-Vaught, Must See TV, he wrestles for him, so I'm really excited. He's wrestling for the Missouri Heavyweight Championship tonight, and it's pretty cool, man. That's a title that you know, Harley Race held at one point back in the day.
Okay.
If you went back and you watched that, did you watch the Iron Claw?
I have not watched the Iron Claw, mostly because
watch it.
I do gotta watch these. What am I doing?
Yeah, you gotta watch the Iron Claw. But one of them held the Missouri heavyweight title as well, that Colton's wrestling for tonight. So hopefully Colton goes in there and, you know, gets the job done, baby. Let's go. Must see TV. He's an amazing athlete. Like, if you guys have never heard of any wrestling fans, look up Must See TV, Colton Theron-Vaught, and keep an eye on him. He's been on AEW a couple times, but I think that he's one of those guys that he's got a bright future, man. He's a pro wrestling and MMA fighter hybrid. So he's had like 10 MMA fights, and he's awesome, dude. So we're going to support him, and they've got some other good, like they've got Luke Langley. The main event is a 60-minute Ironman match. So that'll be a grueling affair. It should be fun to see, and I think they got like 4 titles on the line. I'm excited to watch it. It's always,
that's awesome,
dude. It's always fun to watch a local wrestling show.
it is. You always is the ceiling low? Because like they do one at the Saga, and these dudes do like triple indie backflips, and I'm like, how the heck did that ceiling not get hit? Because I'm just waiting for him to hit that drop ceiling rafter, and you know what I'm saying? Like,
dude, and Colton, my boy Colton, like he can hit it all. He can hit the 450. He can hit a shooting star. Like,
okay,
he can do all that stuff, and so he would be one of those that he would be at a real liability if he was in there.
yeah. I mean, they do like other things, but like there's a couple. There's Empire State Wrestling that's up here, but PWR, and then there's a couple other promotions too that kind of work. So it's kind of fun, and that's why I was bringing up Pretty Boy Smooth earlier, because he's like he's like the 7-foot popular guy, but he goes around all over the country and wrestles. So it's crazy how that life. It's almost like being a rock star. Or you just go different places and you wrestle and you do all that stuff. And it's so much fun, But I mean, you're going to be doing that. Are you going to be watching a little bit of UFC 323 tonight?
Oh, you already know, dude. I'm pumped for that card. There's a lot of fights on this. This is a real good card. There's a lot of fights on this card that I'm excited for. I'm really excited for the main event. Those are 2 fighters.
Yes.
I think they're both, dude. Peter Yan is like he might be in my top like 5 right now. That dude.
Okay.
Watching him fight is just like, he's so skilled. He's so technical. Throw everything from both stances. I love his style. He's such a fun fighter to watch. So I'm excited to watch him get another crack at Merab tonight. Apparently, I'd love to see it with both guys healthy. I'm really excited for that fight, and the Man and Pantoja fight's going to be a fun one. Can we get the first champion born in the 2000s? You know what I mean? Who knows?
He can do it.
We got Talbot and Cejudo. That's a weird one. Like when I saw that announced, I was like, what? But you know what I mean? That'll be an interesting one. Young Gun versus Henry in his retirement fight. McKinney versus T-Rex versus Chris Duncan. That fight's gonna, for as long as it lasts, it's gonna be a scrap, dude. There's gonna be some fun fights tonight, man.
The under on the sport books, they got the under at 0.5, and I was like, the only time I take the under on 0.5 is when Gautier is fighting, because that man is a truck. Yeah. He just trucks dudes, man. And then I just like, it's almost like if you took Torres Finney and you stretched him, and it would just be one of those. For those who know who Torres Finney is.
Bro, that cracked me up. If we put Torres Finney in an inversion table for like a week, he's come out as a Tiba Gaudier. That's so funny.
Yeah, we got, and I mean, even like at the beginning of the card, Iwe Baranowski versus Ibad Aslam, that fight's going to be sneakily good, because I think you have another young prospect, kind of like yourself, put in a good position against a decent opponent, a good opponent, Aslan, and he's going to go in there and he could just muscle this guy and make a sense. Or do you, and then you could think, well, does the veteranship? We've seen the veterans win a lot of these debut matches this year, and now you got another one, but this guy's like, literally, he looks like Tommy Gunn. He's got that Tommy Gunn, like Brock Lesnar, like, or kind of coming into this fight. So it's going to be interesting to see that fight, or even the Vittori Fana fight. That's going to be crazy. Ooh, yeah. This card is just stacked, dude. I mean, Chris Duncan, dude. I asked him to be on the podcast about a couple months ago, but I knew he had a fight coming up, so he was like locked in doing a lot of his training sessions. But dude, that's a guy. He was pretty cool. So that's another. But I like McKinney too. I've talked to him on the X, so it's like that's a heart stringer. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm not playing the under. I'm just gonna play it and just watch this fight, because that could be fight of the night. Other than the champions dominating, that's gonna be a burn burger.
For me, I think T-Rex is awesome, dude. And he just
Yeah.
seems like a genuinely cool dude. He has a really cool story. So he's one of those dudes, if he's fighting, I'm cheering for him. You know, there's very few people that I wouldn't be cheering for T-Rex over. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that he comes out and just does that, dude. You know. And here's the thing, whenever he fights, like they're gonna scrap. It's not gonna be a lot. You're gonna see somebody get KO'd. So to me, it's cool to be that guy. And man, dude, I'm excited. I'm sure if people are watching, they can see that I'm kind of moving now, and I'm getting jazzed thinking about it.
I'm getting jazzed. Like this is the whole thing. You got literally, and there's
like shifted in my seat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Over here getting
there's an NXT pay-per-view tonight too. So like my wife's like at work right now doing Disney on Ice, and she's like, so I'm gonna have the UFC on that. I'm gonna have the NXT on this, and then at some point we're gonna be either not today, but. There's so much, like even on Monday nights when like football's on and our guy DJ Magic Mike is on, you know, that it's just one of those things that there's so much going on. And I'm actually happy when you brought up wives and things like that to actually find a wife that likes football, that likes wrestling, that will put up with me putting UFC on at the same time and just does it because that's the sauce. That's what drives us, not only through our fighting careers, but also through everyday life. That's that family base. That's what I feel will always make somebody better. Just like when I brought up, so when I do the Fight Club, when I do my skits, I do history lessons. So you brought up Jan earlier. I have a Minaj video for him, and nobody's not going to see that until then. I'm going to be putting a Locksmith song over that, and I never knew it, but I could see it, that Taekwondo style he has, man. This is life, bro.
Dude, it's so freaking cool. And to piggyback off what you said about the wife, man.
Yes.
Bro, mine is so cool. She has sat through some stuff to watch with me that like, dude, I got to give her props for that. And you know, she watched that whole 6-part Vince McMahon documentary with me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, she did all of that. So my wife is a legend.
Dude, my wife be over there. She'd be like, "Ooh, look at Cody." I'd be like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, yo, Stephanie back here. Uh-oh. Right? And I'm just like, this is what we do. This is what we do. We sit there and and then there's one on, she's AEW Sky Blue. So then she starts messaging because I love Kyle Fletcher, her man. Like, he's just awesome. He's got that Randy Orton vibe. So for me, she just like starts writing, but she's like, "Oh, Sky now, huh, Sky?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then she's like, "Don't you think Sky's a little young for you?" And I'm going, "Well, wait a minute now. When did this become like an age thing?" And I just, dude, you should be like poking these wrestling things. It's wild, man. But these
such a good time. It is such a good time.
That's what I love about our wives and being able to do that, because you know you bring up that part, but they see a lot of our struggles as well too. They're the ones that see us through these injuries. When my daughter was knocked out earlier this year, that having to text the wife, that I pretty much thought it was going to be one of those Looney Tune episodes where out the phone comes the wife and I get strangled. But it was one of those things where it wasn't a really bad knockout. She actually popped back up immediately, but it left a funny thing for a moment. So me being the dad but a fighter training ready to go fight, and I had to be cool and let the coach go out, but I want to go out there. But I hear the one quote. She goes out there and they go, "Medic," and she goes, "Medic? Who needs a medic?" And I just,
dude, what is he?
I just seen that stuff and I was like, wow. And my daughter's great, but you know, she's tall and long. So she goes up against some pretty big girls sometimes moving up. She's 14. So sometimes if it's 14 to 17 age, there'll be a 17-year-old that's really tall. So, you know, but it's just seeing, because dude, she goes in there and the girls just fight different than the guys in point fighting. So if like you ever want to see like True Master, if you haven't ever seen it, watch Billy Murphy or Ty State. Those two dudes are like super duper fast and kind of do all the little tricky things that do. Our guy, Derek Brown, who just won two world championships, and it was over in England. He just came back from there too. So he's These guys just do things, and then I go like, oh, that looks cool to do, and then I go to try to do it. I go, whoop, nope, that's not me. I'll just blitz away. But yeah, they're a big part of it.
Dude, I've been there for sure. Every now and then you see the little guys whip out a move, and I'm a big fella and I want to do a little guy thing, and I gotta put myself in check.
Yeah, like one of those Copiara dudes, man, or whatever. However you see that, we got this little Tony dude.
Watch
Go on.
Both of my UFC fights. See me try to throw a head kick and fall on my ass. I had to put myself in check.
Yeah. I mean, but you did throw the kick. The kick looks good, but it's just one of those things. You're gonna work on it. Goes back to the fundamentals. It goes to the basics, man. You're a young fighter. You brought that up, right? That's something that in 2 years you're probably gonna most likely have mastered. But the time that everybody sees you have mastered it is the time it's gonna be on a knockout.
Bang. Let's go, baby. That's. I'm telling you, they're not ready. Nobody's ready for a head kick Juicebox, baby.
Yeah, dude. And just going back to that name, dude. That's like it's like what set Spice One apart from a lot of other rappers, or what sets Locksmith nowadays. If you don't know those rappers, you might know Spice. You might not know Locksmith. If you know Locksmith, you definitely. It just sets them apart. Like it was Spice One stutter rap, right? For Locksmith, it's his verse, the way he's a lyrist, the way he puts everything together. It's a locksmith, it's a lyrist. That's what he likes to call himself. So for me, it's that technique. But when you get that, that's what you always stick with. And man, that's the true love of this life.
100%, man. It's interesting, dude. I got my nickname from my college basketball coach. You know what I mean? He started calling me Juice because he said I looked like a young OJ. I had the little baby fro and I was clean shaven. I shouldn't even say clean shaven. I couldn't grow a beard. So
there we go.
If I shaved this, everybody would see how much of the baby face is going on. You know what I mean? And I had a little baby fro. You know what I mean? So they called me a young OJ. They started calling me Juice, and then that Juicebox came from there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can see the shirt. I already can see the shirt.
There's quite a few. I've made like 4 or 5 now.
Oh snap! See, you'd like to do that. Like I love making.
Baby, go to millions.co and look up Julius Walker and get you some Juicebox merch, baby.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, you just plugged right there. What are some of the other places that people can find you, and some of the other products that you represent that people should be going to buying and stuff like that?
Yeah, 100%, man. I've got, on my Instagram's your favorite juice_box. Mm-hmm. My old one got hacked, so don't follow that one. Follow the new one, your favorite juice_box. I'm on Twitter too. Twitter, it's your fave Juicebox. Mm-hmm. And those are the two. I got a YouTube channel now too, so everybody go subscribe to your boy on YouTube. I think it's Julius. If you look up Julius Walker, I think it should come up. I'm not 100% sure, but I got a YouTube channel now. My boy Mad Reels produces all of my YouTube videos. He produces all of my content, all of my hype videos. He is an absolute legend. So if people need any type of anything done, hit him up. He's amazing. He does great work. Fighters hit him up, you know what I mean? He can help advance your career, and he gives really friggin' good deals, you know what I mean? He hooks it up for the people, you know what I mean? So that's super duper clutch, and I've got all that going on. I've got to shout out a couple of my sponsors real quick. Shout out to 417 Muscle Shark. If you're in the Springfield area, go see Heather, get a massage, and get yourself feeling better. Shout out to my home gym, Team Fusion. Shout out to the best strength coach in the game, Taylor Ramsdale. Shout out to the best boxing coach in the game, Will Grover. Let's see here. Shout out to my guy, Kenny Bajik and Elite Fab Works. They're always sponsoring me, always hooking me up. And, man, if you're in the Springfield area, you need a new roof on your house, call my guy, Complete Coverage Roofing. My boy Kev Ron, dude. Complete Coverage Roofing, they're elite. They do the best work in the business, you know what I mean? So and then furthermore, dude, I got a bunch of sponsors. I've had so much support, to get to this point. I'm able to travel and train pretty much train full time. I teach privates and stuff, but I'm able to pretty much dedicate my life to training right now, and it's because I've got the support of some amazing sponsors. So follow my pages and you'll see all of them. Give all of my sponsors a follow if you can. You know what I mean? And I appreciate it all, brother.
Yeah, this, leading up to this podcast, you could tell that we're both fighters because of our interactions. I would send something, that you would send something and it was like, and I watched your stuff and I was like, oh, I know he's got a fight coming up. And then when that announcement happened, I was like, woo. I was like, yeah, I know. It was so exciting, and just doing all this together, being able to get your story out there. I wanted to approach this from many different angles, because when you do a lot of interviews, a lot of people they'll ask maybe the same questions, but at the same time, I always try to make sure. I love that we walked through that fight theory going up into even the Uran fight, because I thought that right there is just what truly separates a lot of other podcasts from some of the people that understand. So like, you understand, I understand. It's just great that combat sports together can bring somebody like yourself and myself together. And it's truly a blessing. And I got to thank you 1,000 times for giving me an opportunity to interview you, but you as a person, as a whole, as a dad, as a learning fighter, and come on into our network, the Dr. Roto network, and the Bring the Pain tree, and represent that.
Dude, I appreciate that, man. It means a lot, for real. I know we'd gone back and forth a little bit. I do good about the podcast when I'm close to the fight, you know what I mean? But then I do bad about it when I'm not. And it was interesting. Before I even got this fight, I told myself, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start carving out time, and I'm just going to make it a thing. Like, this is when I do podcasts, and I'm going to stick with it. And you know what I mean? One of the coolest things about it is the fact that you just get to meet cool people. At the end of the day, I get to talk to you, cool dude, have a good conversation. So it's a blessing, man. And I appreciate you for having me on Big Time, allowing me to yap about myself a little bit, help people get to know me as a fighter. All we've really got is our platform. That's the key to this game, is building up your platform as much as possible. Yes. So that's what I'm going to continue to do. And I appreciate you for helping me do that, man.
Yeah. And that's, you brought up the thing about podcasting and bringing people together. I think that's where people lose themselves in society nowadays, is that they get enamored with the television and they don't understand that sometimes a good conversation over a podcast or even a phone nowadays, rather than a text, is sometimes the way to go, because that's truly when I feel humans are rooted in this world.
Exactly, man. We have to interact as people. That's what sets us apart, is we're able to interact on a higher level. So, that's what we've got to do, man. And I love it, dude. I really enjoy this stuff. And
I love
another
it,
thing, we not only does that bring people together, but we're both in the martial arts community. And man, the martial arts community, whenever you go to a jiu-jitsu class and you look out on the mats, you're going to see a cop, you're going to see a couple stoners, you're going to see probably some damn near criminals. You're probably going to see some moms. You're probably going to see some dads. You're probably going to see some kids in high school. You're going to see all types of people all rolling together, all friends. You know what I mean?
That's right.
All getting along, coexisting. The egos stay at the door. It's a really cool thing and a really cool community. And I think I can speak for both of us and say that we're blessed to be a part of it, and that it's brought us together,
It is. And I will say that some of my biggest supporters are the people that go to my dojo. Those are the people that we see every day. I have multiple friends that I've known for over 40 years, but at the same time, it's the people that we get dirty with, the people that we bleed with, the people that we roll with, that see us the most and learn from that, and thus developing a great bondship, friendship, whatever you want to call it, together in that ring. And I think that right there, just being able to take that support and everything behind me and build it, and to get to this point, reiterates exactly what you said.
Hey, man, if that ain't the truth, brother, 100%.
All right, brother, I don't want to take too much more of your time. We could probably talk all day. We just like that. We could probably talk wrestling for hours. We didn't even get to talk about the Lakers, because we can talk. Gotta admit it. They need to make a trade.
Man, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens this year. I don't know. It's a decision going forward. What are you going to do? Where are you going to take the franchise?
Yeah.
wherever they do, I'm going to be a Lakers fan until I'm 6 feet under, and then I'll be a Lakers fan from above. So
that's right.
I mean, let's go, baby.
That's it. It's all LA for me, brother, man. When you talk about soccer and the Everton Soccer Fight Club, the Everton Fight Club and everything like that and being in your heart, dude, I'm a Galaxy guy. Yes, get it. Shout it out, bro. Get it.
Let's go, baby. Come on, you Blues. Up them fucking toffees, baby. Let's go. I'm an Everton guy. A lot of people always ask me, they're like, why are you an Everton guy? That's a random team to be a fan of. I'll tell you guys why I'm an Everton fan, because whenever I was a kid, the goalkeeper on the U.S. national team, Tim Howard, was the goalkeeper for Everton. Landon Donovan, a U.S. national team legend, used to go on loan at Everton. So, yeah, man, I've been supporting Everton since then, since I was, once again, probably like 9 or 10 years old or something like that. I'll never forget that. I want to say it was the 2013 season with Lukaku, and man, Lukaku, Ross Barkley, Stephen Pienaar, Kevin Morales. Oh man, Seamus Coleman, Sylvain Distin, Phil Jagielka, Tim Howard in goal, Leighton Baines at left back, Gareth Barry. Oh man, I miss watching that team. That was a quality squad. You know what I mean? We were so close to playing in the Champions League. So, before I got on the pod, Everton was up 2-0 and it was halftime, so hopefully we finish that out. We're playing Nottingham Forest, which is Ariel's team, so hopefully we smash those nerds.
Yeah, that would be awesome, man. So let's go for Everton FC. Let's get those Reek Speaks on, man. And like I said, Galaxy, like growing up, you just named when you said Donovan and you went back to 2013 and all that, dude. That's like some of the that's what got me into like electronic music. Was the FIFA games, and then of course Need for Speeds. That just that's where music and knowing DJ Magic Mike, one of the greatest DJs of all time, but that also too is it just has brought me together. But that music's always been associated with FIFA, and that's been a big part of my life. And those names, Darien Henry, I love that. My boy was a huge Wayne Rooney fan.
That's an Everton man too.
Yeah. That's dude. And Landon Donovan, I was playing against him with those guys, and then because I would always run over to Inter Milan, who had Ronaldo at the time, and you could always try to sneak your boy with them in those games of the 2001-2000 season. I think I think he was there for both anyway. But just those little sneaky Madden games, we would do all that stuff. But we evolved into soccer games. So it made me start watching a lot of stuff, like even when Zidane had that hat trick in the World Cup, or no, that was the Olympics. Yeah. Dude, he did that. That was freaking amazing because I remember scoring hat tricks on my boy in the game.
What a good time.
Always, my brother, man. You have an amazing, amazing day. We will talk multiple times. You throw at it anytime you want to talk UFC or come on the Fight Club of Pain and talk fight theory or something like that, you're more than welcome. But you have a big fight coming up. I know you're going to be locked in, and my confidence is completely behind you and your team to prepare you for the next level of your career, my brother.
Huge love, man. Thank you for having me on, bro, and I hope you have a good one as well.
Have a great day, everybody, and always remember to bring the pain. Ooh, yeah.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. Until the next visit, be well and take care.